Okay, alright guys, in this short video I'll discuss with you so the need of version control systems. Okay, and so we'll discuss on also what is Git, and working of Git we will discuss in, I think, another video. So what is exactly a version control system? So why do we need a version control system? Something like this, thing like this. So you have been given a project, 10 days project, so, and might be a website you need to develop. Okay, now what you do is, day one you make one folder, you start working on a folder day one. Okay, you add an index page, you start adding some other pages, start working on it, and end of the day you save everything. And when you come to day two, okay, so what you did is, you know that okay, might be you have to refer the changes you did on day one, so you copied the contents and pasted it and changed it to day two, and you made changes in some changes you did in the index page, you made some changes in the, some more changes in the about page. Okay. And then okay, you did something in the career page, you added a new page. Okay, so this is a new addition you added, so some modification, some addition from the last day's change. You did everything in day 2, so then you went to day 3, so and so forth. Now you go to day 3 and you made another page, clients, and you made some changes in the clients page, added a new page, might be you edited something in the career page, and what else you did, so might be you added index page, made changes in the index page as well. So these are the things which you are doing in every day. And so let's say finally you reach at day 10. Okay, so and finally day 10. So when you reach day 10, you understood that okay, so I have so many files, and so one advantage of following this approach is, what if I want to see the change I did on day 3? Pretty easy. All I have to do is, assuming in day 10 you added more files, some more files, okay, some more files, and okay, some contact.html and things like that. So finally we want to see, okay, what I did on career HTML or in day 3 I want to see. So pretty easy. So all you have to do is open this file, because this file copy is already there. So this approach which you are having in every day, you're taking a backup of the data, and the next day you can actually make a new folder and do. So this is normally a good approach, because this can actually make sure that the contents are not lost. And so the only problem is there are so many data. Okay, so it's very difficult to manage a lot of files, it can confuse. Okay, if you are the only person who designing this is fine. So what if I want to share this with another person? Or sharing with another person is also known as collaboration. Okay, so you want to collaborate with another developer. Okay, so might be then you can reduce the work. Okay, 10 days work might be you can do in 8 days or so. So you want to collaborate the program. So how will you manage in that case? So how is this folders are going to get managed? What if he changes this file and another person changes? So you're working on day 3 and one person changes this file, another person also changes this file. So how are you going to collaborate and the data? So that can also become a mess. So we need actually a kind of a automated system, okay, or we need a kind of a software, okay, which can manage, okay, the contents, or it can track changes. So the same way you did day 1, these are my changes, and day 2 these are my changes, day 3 these are my changes. But the version control system, so these kind of softwares are known as PCS, or properly known as version control system. So the version control systems, okay, are basically a kind of a content tracker. it will track the changes you did on each day, so day 1, day 2, like that. Okay, it can track the changes, not necessary a day wise. Could be, it can be a feature. In a day you made 2 features, you added an index and abort, so it can keep track of each and every file. Okay, the changes you made in each and every file, and then you want to bring the changes back from currently on, you are on day 10 and you want to time travel to your your past history. Okay, you can see what are the changes I did in index page. Okay, on day 9 I can see on day 8 what I did day 7, like that. So I can time travel, okay, like a time machine. I can go back and see all the changes. Okay, and the version control system will manage that, okay, pretty smoothly, so without I keeping a lot of copies of so many files and folders. So the version control system will manage it, so it stores that data in its own database, so that is not as a repository. So the project which you create has to be a part of the repository, as in that repository is mostly is the persistent store. Okay, so it will store some kind of kind of a database. Okay, or it can think like not a relational database but some kind of a database. Okay, so that persistent storage will contain the information about all the changes you make, okay, on each particular file, or each feature you add into your project, so that features can be tracked. So if you don't if you found some feature you added was a buggy thing, so you can always go back to that previous, okay, feature which you did on another day or another at a point in time. Okay, so that feature you added on that point in time, normally the version control system calls us as a commit. Okay, we'll come to that in later on. So might be you every day you do a commit. Okay, so you will save the changes, so that can be considered as a commit. Okay, so once that commit is once you commit that changes, okay, so or in a particular day you may have multiple commits, it doesn't matter. Okay, based upon the features you add, you say, okay, so one feature is completed, so let me do a commit, so that so then in day 1 I had 2 commits, and sorry, day 1 I had 2 commits, and day 2 I may have another commit. Okay, likewise. So these commits are like you saving that particular state. Okay, and so the version control systems are actually going to do that, and the repository is nothing but a storage. Okay, so repository stores a lot of commits. Okay, so the commits are persistent, and from one commit you can time travel back to the previous commit. Okay, so you added a new feature, and let's say you stored it as a commit 4, and then you found that that feature you had a bug. Okay, so then might be you want to come back, time travel back to the commit 3, so you again starting from fresh from this feature. Okay, again you make changes likewise. So this is the advantage of using a version control system, so you may not be needing to manage a lot of files. And the other biggest advantage of version control system is collaboration. Collaboration is the most another important advantage. So when you collaborate, so there is a developer 1, and then you have some changes you make, okay, in that particular in the particular repository. So then you can collaborate that changes to another developer, so he can see the changes, he can bring back the changes, and he can use that particular changes, and whatever changes the developer 1 does, okay, so that can be immediately fetched by another developer. Okay, he can fetch the developer things changes, and in fact some changes have some conflict. Let's say there is a conflict. Okay, so then that conflicts can also be resolved. Okay, so the version control system will help you to resolve that conflict. So some changes made by one developer can be overridden by another developer, because we are having some kind of sharing happens. So whenever you share, there can be a possibility of conflict, so that can also be resolved more intuitively, or you can say more elegantly. You can solve that things using version control system. So that's the whole idea about version control systems. And so most popular one, basically there are two kinds of version control system. One is architectural wise, so one is known as the centralized version control system. The centralized version control system, popularly is Subversion. Okay, Subversion systems, okay, what do they have is they have a repository or where the data, all the commits are stored. So this is commit 1, commit 2, like that. So you'll store different commits in a repository, and so these commits are nothing but the state of the files on a so which you have stored, okay, based on a particular feature. So you completed one feature, you stored it, okay, in the repository. So a repository have many particular commits, and in a centralized place the repository is only on the central server, okay, and you will have to check out the commit, the latest commit which you want, and then you can start working on that particular. So when you check out the latest commit, you will get all the all the files and folders which was, okay, last committed, okay, and then you can work on that files and folders, okay. So let's say you have a day 9 commit, and so when you check out it, you will get all the contents which are as of day 9, okay, and then you start working on this particular files, okay. You make changes in a, might be you check out a particular file and then you make the changes in the file and you check in again it back, okay. So this is a checkout and commit is like a check-in back. But the problem here is, what if the central server is down? So every time you want to make change and you have to save it, you'll need the central server. That's a big problem. So subversion control is one of the version control system, and so mostly we will go with distributed. Most companies now go with distributed version control. So distributed also have a remote server, so where the repository contains all the commits, but the biggest advantage is, so this commit which you are making here is actually is coming to the whole repository is actually coming to local machine also, okay. So every user in distributed version control system so will have a repository with them. They will have a copy of the repository, so that's why it is distributed. So once you have a central repository, from there you can clone it, okay, into your own machines. Now you can work on this local repository. So this will be very fast because you are doing a check-in and check-out, or you are taking the contents from this repository into your machine only, okay. So you are going to get this data very fast and you can do commits very fast. So the central server is not there, still you can work without any problem. And in case the server has been fully crashed, then you want to sync the data, you can even sync between these two machines as well, okay. So might be this guy had done, everybody had 2 commits, C1 C2, and this person has made a new commit, let's call it a C3, and this guy has another commit C4. So C3 and C4 is not in sync. You can see this is not with both the developers, they are separate commits. So the sync operation will make sure that, okay, so everybody has the latest commit. This will have C4 with him and this guy will have C3 with him, so everybody will be in sync. So the synchronous operation can be maintained even if the central server is not there. If the central server is there, the syncing operation can be done via the central server. So everybody has C1 C2 C3 C4, he also have C1 C2 C3 C4, so collaboration also becomes seamless. So this is why you use distributed version control system. Pretty nice. Excuse me. So the Git is one of your version control systems. We will work on Git. So you can see that Git, I'm on Git SEM page, and you can see Git is nothing but a stupid content tracker. So it's just a content tracker, it just tracks your content, okay. So what content of a file, it could be basically the file contents, it can track it. So we will see how to use it. Please install Git from your Git SEM. Once the installation is done, so here you can download it, then we can discuss on Git. So I'll just end the video here.